unfortunately, not not the Secret Service. So I don't understand why they were not doing perimeter security. They now say, but I think they got to be lying because originally they were offering him. They upped it after the 13th of July. I think that was the 13th of July when the attempt was made. Was it? No, it was later. Um, but when the first attempt was made in Butler, they say now that they gave him presidential level security. At the time, the sheriff, who has to be kind of an expert on this. Remember, Trump was president for 4 years, and they had to work with him for 4 years. He said that he wasn't given presidential level security because he wasn't president. He was a candidate for president. Now, that would be consistent with my understanding because when he was president, that golf course perimeter was covered. Now, even if you did something in between and sent a car out to go around the golf course every half hour, every hour, you'd have found this guy. But they didn't. And I am extremely suspicious until there are answers, and there are no answers. There are no answers about the first one either. The suspect in the second one now left a note saying he intended to kill the ex-president. And he's also asked people, he pled if he failed for somebody else to do it. Oh, this guy's pretty serious. So this thing better be switched to Florida as soon as possible and out of the hands of the Biden Crime Bureau, used to be known as the FBI, that tried to frame him. Trump gave a speech, and before we go, maybe we'll try to go to his speech and see what he's saying tonight. But one of the things that he said is that he is going to end sanctuary cities, and he's going to ask Congress. Today, I'm announcing a new plan. This was on Saturday in North Carolina. In North Carolina, all across our country, I will ask Congress to pass a law outlawing sanctuary cities, and will bring down the full weight of the federal government on any jurisdiction that refuses to cooperate with ICE and Border Protection. As soon as I take office, I will surge federal law enforcement to every city that is failing, which is a lot of them, to turn over criminal aliens, and we will hunt down and capture every single gang member, drug dealer, rapist, murderer, and migrant criminal that is being illegally harbored. We will get them out of North Carolina and send them home where they belong. So that's a pretty clear outline of one of the things he's going to do when he first gets elected. Do we have, Ted, available the best we know of what she is going to do on the first day that she's elected?
We're getting that ready now.
Because that would be extremely important. Because you probably wouldn't believe this, but a lot of these murders, rapes, beatings, cities being taken over are by people that have been arrested, even have records back in the country they came from, or came out of prison from the country they came from. And the locals do not inform the federal government. That happens to be true in the city I was mayor of, because the mayor there, who is under unbelievable corruption investigations left and right, his new police commissioner he just put in was searched by the FBI. The old one was searched by the FBI, and partial left because they said it was kind of inconsistent to be searching, be police commissioner. Now, this guy who's in now is a former FBI agent. Now, I'm the last one that's going to give too much credit to an FBI search, since the FBI searched my apartment and my law office and found, want an Italian word? Ugat. They found nothing. I'm not making that up. They had to write a letter to the grand jury saying they found nothing. They found nothing doing 20 years of investigating. You're wondering, how did I get indicted if the FBI investigated me for 3 years? When over 20 years of my dealings in business and in life tried real hard to indict me. You don't search somebody and search their law office, which is almost unheard of. Take their iCloud account if you're not trying real hard to persecute them. Huh? But they couldn't do it. But that didn't stop Fannie Ho and the Arizona equally dishonest and dishonorable people from going ahead and indicting me. So what I'd like to do, having explained to you what Donald Trump will do on the first day, right, which is to close the border. You know how you close the border? Can I tell you, having once been in charge of the Immigration Service? Here's how you close the border. Close the border. I just did it if I were the president. Close the border. Executive, all executive power in the United States. If he says close the Border Patrol has to close the border. Do you know how quickly they would close the border if they were told to do that? I mean, they're getting the hell kicked out of them right now. You remember the ones with the whips? They said they were whipping people. Biden and Mayorkas and the border czar all condemned them. They turn out to be innocent like I was. They didn't even get an apology. I think their promotions never went through. They weren't whipping anybody. They were trying to keep illegals from coming in. They didn't realize their job had changed to being Radio City Music Hall escorts. Being a border patrolman is you're being trained to be a Radio City Music Hall escort. You take an illegal and you help them to come in. God forbid you should ask them a question. Now, could they be a murderer, a rapist, an insane person let out of a prison? You don't know. And you don't want to know, because this administration really is more important with getting them registered to vote to rape you. And Trump, that I told you, it can be very tough. It can be really hard for him to do this. He's going to call the head of the Border Patrol, whoever the acting head is at the time. He can say, close the border. And they will proceed to have it closed in within hours. That's going to be that of course that's a problem. I shouldn't say it's the biggest, but it's not the biggest problem. Biggest problem is how to get rid of them. Now you can't get rid of them. You can't get rid of them. You can't get. No, you want to bet? Want to bet? You don't want to bet with me. I don't say you can get rid of everyone. We can come pretty close. So you're wondering, what do we do with the ones that Maduro has let out of prison in Venezuela, where the crime rates have gone down so much? He's threatening to have a bigger reduction in crime than I had in New York City, except I did it honestly. I didn't send them anywhere, except to prison. So we'll just send them all back. You say, well, how do we send them back? We land them there. They're not going to jet fighters for. Do you think Venezuela is going to stop us? Venezuela is going to stop us? Jesus, I mean, they really have reduced our military, but it isn't that bad, Venezuela. Or I had actually a great idea, which is to parachute them in. You could show them how to pull the little thing. They're all young. Really, they come in through the CB1 program, and they go online, and they say, "Can I come in?" And the Harris Biden people say, "Yeah, come on in. You're Chinese. Tim Walz will feel really comfortable with all these Chinese communists because he's one." So I shouldn't say he's one. Because he won't answer any questions. Until he answers questions about why he went to China 30 times to teach, and he tells us what he taught in China. I'm really interested in his lesson plan in China and what he did to our children that he took to China. who I don't understand how you take young people to China and you don't teach them about communism. I don't think China lets you come back if you know. I don't think China lets you leave if you screw them. Do you realize how awful this has become? Hard drive on us. Now they won't ask a vice presidential candidate who gives every indication that he's an operative of the Red Chinese government. They won't allow us to ask a question of him, like, why did you go for training auspices of Harvard University, who's had a couple of people at Harvard indicted for being spies, and takes a load of money from the Red Chinese? Why did you go teach there 30 times? Who paid for you? Why did the military let you go? You theoretically were in the National Guard until it came time to fight, and then you cowardly walked out. Your minister said that you were a coward, not me. I wouldn't judge you. It's not my place. But ministers, I think, are allowed to do that, tampon. So why are those questions not asked? Aren't those questions in the best interest of the United States? Whatever happened to the best interest of the United States? Like, we're supposed to sit back and watch this guy who was trained in China, taught in China 30 times, went back and forth. They approved him coming back 30 times, brought young people with him, we don't know how many, to train them. What was he training them in? Is he one of the 100,000 reasons why we have a Marxist group of youngsters? Could he be one of the Marxist trainers? That's a rhetorical question. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back with another humorous statement. Delivers on its promise to do good and never forget the sacrifices America's greatest heroes have made for us. Heroes who risked their lives to keep our communities and our country safe. Heroes like United States Marine Corps Captain and pilot John Jeremy Sachs. Captain Sachs sustained fatal injuries when his military aircraft crashed during training, killing him and 5 other service members. He's remembered by loved ones as courageous, brilliant, and devoted to his career, family, and friends. John is survived by his wife, Amber, who gave birth to their second daughter 3 months after his death. Tunnel to Towers paid the mortgage on the family home for Amber and their 2 daughters. The foundation has helped over 1,000 military and first responder families navigate the worst of times by removing the burden of a mortgage payment. Our nation's heroes and their families need your help now more than ever. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. T2T.org. That's T, the number 2T.org. T2T.org. Please donate now. We are back, Ted tells me. That means I'm back, because he's not helping. And this is America's Mayor Live with Rudy Giuliani. There he is. There he is. It looks like he's, I can usually, you don't have to have the language. I can usually tell, I think he's telling a joke right now. Here you go.
Let's see what he's saying here.
Later,
he
went out because he was under pressure
or telling a
to
joke.
apologize because he humanized Donald Trump. Do you remember?
No, I don't have my earpiece.
He stood up and he said, I'd like to apologize 6 months ago or whatever it was.
By the way, he is telling a joke.
Donald Trump's hair, and it humanized him, and he became president. And I would like to
He's talking
apologize.
about his hair.
How weak and pathetic is a guy like that?
He's telling a joke
and his show
about his
died,
hair.
But the other 2 shows are dying.
Am I good?
The one on ABC is dying. He was the worst host in the history
of
the Academy Awards. Remember I did that? Remember I wrote I put a truth. Everybody should go to Truth immediately. And by the way, we also love Elon, I have to tell you.
Plugging
Gave me a
Truth.
big
He loves
endorsement.
Elon and he
Big one.
loves Truth Social.
But remember in the Academy Awards, I said how he's the worst host in the history of the Academy Awards?
Who's the
and
worst
this stupid guy goes up, and just before the Best Picture of the Year, the show is almost over. They're waiting for the Best Picture of the Year. He gets up and he says, and his wife said, please don't do it. Please, darling, don't go out. His manager said, don't do it. I have to do it. He goes out and reads my truth to the entire audience right before the best prime time, the Best Picture. And it said basically, he is the worst host of the history. He reads the whole thing. And then I think he said something like, ha, 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 he thinks he bothers me or some crap like that. I said, he's one of the dumbest human beings ever. He should have listened to his wife.
Well, that's not.
What a dope. But all three of them are bad. The hatred. You know, it's supposed to be comedy. It's hatred. It's like terrible. But they're dying. And did anyone see the Gutfeld for last week? So, actually, I said it in the show, you know, so Gutfeld had the highest ratings in his history. And it was the #1 show of the week on all of television, not just on cable, on all of television. It beat all the network shows. But I told her the show, Gutfeld hated me for a long time, hated me. And then he started saying, you know, he didn't know me, but he hated me. People that know me like me. But he just couldn't stand me. And he was pretty strong on that. And then what happened is he started to say, you know, I don't like him, but he gets everything done. He rebuilt our military. We have no wars. He took out the worst terrorists in history. We don't have any problems. We didn't have one terror attack during my administration. With all the terror attacks all over the world, we didn't have countries fighting each other. They wouldn't have done it without my permission. They would call me up to ask whether or not they could go to war with some other country. And I said, you can't do that. And if you do that, I'm going to put big, big taxes all over your country. Okay, we won't do it. And they'd call me up the next day. We decided.
Doing that, I know his Joe Can motions. You know, I introduced him 50 times at those things. And I still find it hilarious because of what he's doing right now. He's having I mean, yes, he has gotten in. He began this with talking about illegal immigration and what he would do about it. So he gives them. I mean, all he has to do is say that, and he gives them more substance than she does. I mean, she doesn't. I was born in a middle-class family, and my mother gave me aspirations, and I aspired to her aspirations, which you know what aspirations are. They're aspirations that you aspire to. Seriously, that's kind of stuff she says. And I maintain it isn't just, you know, double talk and work. I think it's the sign of an inferior intellect. Like brain cells screwed up. So they go like this instead of like that. Instead of like that. Which means that's the way we're in two wars now. He made that point there very nicely in the middle of some humor about Gutfeld, from a guy who didn't like him turning into a guy who now, don't get angry, Greg, and don't get upset, but you adore him now. I mean, you're a true Trumper. But Gutfeld came along based on everything going right. And even now, we'll say, isn't that what it's about? I mean, he handed over a world at peace. We are now a world at war. That alone should say, throw him out. And what if she's a change? How is she a change? First of all, she was the vice president in this administration. Second, she doesn't disagree with anything that Biden did. Or agree, for that matter. She doesn't say anything. She has changed her own position, although not her values. She just changed every position she has to whatever it is that's most popular which will change again, which is why I don't repeat them, because, on any given day, she could be back to no fracking. And that's if it went over 50% the other way. So this is a woman without integrity, without an intellect, who speaks in riddles, not because she's being politically evasive, because she failed the bar exam. She's stupid. Let's listen to her explanation of what she would do. Trump has said on the first day he's going to close the border. So I'm looking now on how she's explaining how Biden is a great leader.
What is the day one?
We got Dana Trump-ash, and we have her picking it up.
White House.
Well, there are a number of things. I will tell you, first and foremost, one of my highest priorities is to do what we can to support and strengthen the middle class. When I look at the aspirations, the goals, the ambitions of the American people, I think that people are ready for a new way forward.
Can we just stop there? Can we just stop there? If you're elected on day one, there are a number of things she's going to do, and she's going to do something for the middle class based on aspirations. But she doesn't. Okay, so what are you going to do? Aspirate on the in the Oval Office? I mean, I'm not even sure that's legal to aspirate in the Oval Office. I don't think anybody. Clinton did a couple of strange things in the Oval Office, but I don't know if you can aspirate in the Oval Office. I don't think Abraham Lincoln ever aspirated. And look at Dana Trump-ash. Look at that face. There's Dana Trump-ash getting ready to. She's trying so hard to help her. This is like having a child going through remedial education, and you're trying to help them, and they can't help themselves. We got any more to that answer? I mean, did you get any more specific?
We can get the longer version. It'll take a second.
Well, we can. Doesn't Dana Trump-ash help her on the fracking thing? Oh, yeah. This is why did you
President in a Democratic primary?
On fracking?
And should they feel comfortable and confident that what you're saying now is going to be your policy moving forward?
Dana, I think the most important and most significant aspect of my policy perspective and decisions is my values have not changed. You mentioned the Green New Deal. I have always believed, and I have worked on it, that the climate crisis is real, that it is an urgent matter to which we should apply metrics that include holding ourselves to deadlines around time. We did that with the Inflation Reduction Act. We have set goals.
We should hold ourselves to deadlines around time. People talk like that. I mean, the normal people, normal intelligent people talk like that. Tell me there isn't something wrong with her. There's got to be something wrong with her. She talks like her brain is a pretzel. Keep going, jackass.
For the United States of America, and by extension the globe, around when we should meet certain standards for reduction of greenhouse gas emissions, as an example. That value has not changed.
Her value being in favor
Generally,
of the greenhouse, of the Green New Deal hasn't changed. She's just against it now. And she was for it before. You got that? You figured that one out, Ted? You think Caitlin knows the answer to that? Well, I think we have to put her on. I need help.
Yeah, maybe she can come on
And she can interpret.
decipher or interpret some of this.
Yeah, I mean, this is like.
But Caitlin's a sharp cookie, so I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, Caitlin is smart. She might be able to figure this stuff. I'm just too dumb. I'm just too dumb to figure this out. I mean, I just keep thinking of her going in the White House for the first day and aspirating, which I'm not even sure I know what it is, but she's going to aspire on the first day. Is that even allowed in the White? Are you allowed to aspire?
Well, I want to get some of these clips, and I'm uploading them now. But from the Oprah interview, I mean, we thought the Dana Trump bash interview was bad.
From beginning to end is the single worst interview ever given by anybody to anyone, and even Oprah. Every once in a while. Now I've been interviewed by Oprah. Oprah is the one who named me America's mayor. Do you know that? And Oprah is the one who allowed me to take over a show and teach my book when it came out. That to the consternation of the New York Times was first on the bestseller list for 6 weeks. Went out and burned them.
Wow. And
can we just point out, since we're having fun, that she's scared of going to the Al Smith dinner to our audience?
please,
She is frightened of the Al Smith dinner. And she should be, because she's a jackass. She'd never be able to handle the Al Smith dinner. You have to be funny. Now, that's the hardest thing of all to be. Even if you write it out, if you don't know how to deliver it, you're not funny.
bingo.
You can't do it if you don't. And to be humorous, you have to have an intellect. Trump is humorous, right? John F. Kennedy was humorous. Reagan was humorous. Lyndon Johnson was a total boob. Clinton was humorous in his own way, right? But to be humorous, you have to have now. So she can't show up at the Alfred E. Smith dinner. First of all, it leans as a Democrat dinner. It's in New York. It's named for a Democratic presidential candidate. Every Democratic candidate has been there but one, and he didn't do too well. Walter Mondale. He lost 49 states. I wish you the same. And he wasn't there because he had no sense of humor either. So she's not going to show up for the dinner. Of course, Trump will show up and probably rip her apart. Humorously, I hope, which will be really easy.
And to those who are saying there's no way these two can be in the same room cracking jokes, let's play a clip. Hillary Clinton.
Oh,
yeah, 16.
But I mean, this actually is funny. But there's nothing about this woman that's honest. And I'm going to show you, after you listen to it, why this is, well, just listen to it first, but I want you to realize this is proof, again, that Hillary Clinton, aside from Joe Biden, could be the most crooked person in America.
For bringing together two people who've been at each other's throats. Mortal enemies, bitter foes. I've got to ask, how did you get the governor and mayor here together tonight?
There's Big Bird.
That's so on the left was communist de Blasio, like Walz, who will not answer any questions about his communist
Tim.
Tampon Tim.
We like Mike Walz.
De Blasio, now, this is true, and I'm not attacking his mother. His mother was Italian. Why would I attack her? But she was a communist. The mayor's mother was a communist. Okay. Your mother can be a communist, maybe you're not. Except if you go to Cuba on your honeymoon. Who the hell would go to Cuba on the honeymoon? Except a communist. And then you're for the Sandinistas who are against America. So, I mean, you're given every indication you're a communist, de Blasio. But that wasn't the worst thing about you. You were the worst mayor in the history of New York. And there's nobody that disagrees. You got 0% when you ran for president in the Democratic primary. 0%. Nobody's ever gotten 0%. I guess, I mean, your family didn't even vote for you. But in any event, he and Cuomo didn't get along. And this is before the pandemic. And then they really went crazy over the pandemic. And they did public damage because of their People died because they were separated from each other. Now, I'm not talking about almost stuffing the old people in the nursing homes so nursing homes could collect money for the death. And they were his biggest fundraiser, right? So now you know the motive. And he wants to run for mayor again. Please, I hope you're not, I'm a resident of Florida now, so you can't stick me in a nursing home. But I wouldn't stay there if he were mayor. Who knows where he put me? I mean, the guy was a disaster as a governor. So that was funny, right? Would you say that was funny, Ted? Caitlin, you think that was kind of funny on the face of it?
Yeah, the clip we saw, yeah.
Now, who's the biggest plagiarizer that we know of in the American government? Joe Biden, right? Joe Biden plagiarized everything up until now where he reads everything. Now, let's listen to the following and tell me she didn't plagiarize it without attribution. This is the funniest line at an Al Smith dinner ever in the history of the world.
This one is?
Yes. Well, put it off for a minute. So you got to understand that present at the dinner was John F. Kennedy and Richard Nixon, who were running against each other for president of the United States. And then, of course, the governor of New York and all of the Governor Rockefeller, a couple of others, who was, let's let it play out. This is after a couple of their debates, if not after all of their debates. I don't know. So let's play. I guess he and Reagan would be the two most humorous presidents that I remember. Clinton wasn't too bad, but they were on a scale of they could have been comedians. And the same thing is true. The same thing is true of Trump. I mean, Trump is funny as hell. So let's go ahead.
Let's play.
Cardinal Spellman is the only man so widely respected in American politics that he could bring together amicably at the same banquet table for the first time in this campaign two political leaders who are increasingly apprehensive about the November election, who have long eyed each other suspiciously, and who have disagreed so strongly, both publicly and privately, Vice President Nixon and Governor Rockefeller.
Now, I would say it's okay to vary it, but you got to give attribution. And say, well, of course, that was very similar to when John Kennedy delivered the line here back in 1960. Haven't you learned they are a party of consummate liars from the time they were the party of slavery? They've got to be done away with. They're a bad seed. They want to change all these names. They want to take down all these statues and burn all these things. And what about the party? I mean, gosh almighty, the Democrat Party was a lot more associated with slavery than James Madison or something. So she's not going to go to the Alfred E. Smith dinner like she hasn't yet had a press conference. She's running on one of the two major tickets for president of the United States, and she hasn't had a press conference. And the press doesn't care. They don't have a role anymore. They don't have a role in a functioning democracy. They have a role in a fascist government, which is to spew the dictated version of what will be the truth. And we must all abide by it. And if we don't, we are in some way or another persecuted. Could be criminal, could be financial, could be social, could be all. Don't you realize that that's what's going on? How they could not be every day demanding that you have a press conference is every indication that they're no better than Pravda was during the Soviet Union, or the public relations agency, otherwise known as the news agency of the Red Chinese government. They're useless in a democracy. So I may have mentioned this, but Trump made it clear on that he is going to, first day, close the border, and then sanctuary cities gone. Sanctuary cities should be gone anyway. They're illegal. How do you get away with violating federal law? I don't get it. I don't get how the mayor of New York can tell the police not to turn people over to the federal government. Doesn't federal law prevail? I would think so. So in Israel, we've got quite a bit going on, don't we? We've got troops headed there. We don't know why. They won't tell us. Well, okay, I'll give them that. I mean, that, although I don't give them anything, I don't trust them. I shouldn't give that. I would give that to a normal Democratic administration. But who the hell knows what they're sending troops? They could be sending troops there to attack Israel, for all I know. But Bibi has been on his own because Biden is, I mean, Jill is running things. And I'm not even know if she knows where Israel is. And Kamala, of course, knows. And she knows that I mean, you would think she would like Israel because it's a small country. But I guess Gaza is smaller. You know, like Russia is a big country, and Ukraine is a small country right next to it. Well, Israel is a very small country in the middle of dictatorships and, in some cases, terrorist governments, with any number of them wanting to destroy them. That's kind of like tough, yo-yo. So Bibi on his own is really, really kicking you know what. Look at that. Look at last week. Look at last week. You want to show the map? Sure. You want to take oh no, we'll just bring it over. Yeah, we'll take a short break.
We're having the biggest sale ever on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save 60% on our Goose Down comforters, the best comforters ever. They go perfectly with our MyPillow bed sheets and duvet covers. Save 25% on our brand new kitchen towels. They're made with the same technology as our famous My Towels. Our initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. Our seasonal flannel sheets are finally in. You save up to 50%, and they sell out fast every year, so order now. They're truly the best flannel sheets you'll ever sleep on. Or save up to 80% on all our clearance items. And this is where it gets even better. For a limited time, your entire order ships absolutely free. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use that promo code to get deep discounts on all MyPillow products. And for a limited time, your order ships absolutely free.
Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory. It's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep grain, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because they like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic, non-GMO. You should know all Arabica beans. No Robusto, all Arabica. They're going to go into the roaster, and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudy's coffee.
This is Rudy Giuliani back with America's Mayor Live. And I wanted to show you a little bit about what's going on in Israel. Let's see if we can. We got to get up here. See, so we got to bring it down a little. You got it? I don't. Maybe it's not on my. So that's Lebanon. Okay, there's Lebanon. There's Gaza. So we've had now, from the very beginning, we've had a two-front war, right? Starting on October 7th, when the animals came in from Gaza, right? The terrorist animals. I can't call terrorist animals. They were killing women, children, raping them, chopping heads off, killing children in front of their parents, killing parents in front of their children. There's not animals. You want to fight over it? Then there's something wrong with you if you don't think they're animals. Most animals is an insult to animals. Certainly to the nice ones, like dogs and cats and horses. They all came and they attacked all in here, right? Okay. So Israel, after being delayed endlessly by the appeaser in chief and his number two, finally went in and cleaned out Gaza with many, many delays occasioned by the team, the Biden-Harris team that really favored Gaza, really favored Hamas. But from the very beginning, Hezbollah, which is also run by Iran, who's seen no damage as a result of this, except from Israel, not from the Biden version of the United States, with the United States of cowards, home of the oppressed and the cowardly, not home of the free and the brave. With the oppressed and the cowardly. No boots on the ground, no boots on the ground, no boots on the ground, no boots on the ground. So up here, Hezbollah, the number two of the three proxies that are being used by Iran, Houthis attacking in the Red Sea. This is down here, all the way down here. You can't see it on this map. The Hamas, which attacked Israel from here, and Hezbollah, which attacked Israel from the north. So Israel has been telling them, cut it out and get the hell out of the demilitarized zone where you're supposed to be out. Well, they didn't want to do it. So Israel's been hitting them back, pound for pound. As they hit Israel back. Only difference is Israel actually hits. They get thwarted most of the time by the Iron Dome and its various versions, depending on how sophisticated. Doesn't mean they haven't done damage. They have. But maybe 90 to 95% has been thwarted, whereas opposite the other way around. I mean, nothing is thwarted. But of course, the best of all was what they did last week while Biden is in his catatonic state, while Jill is doing whatever playthings she does, because she would never understand this either. She's as big a jackass as he is. And while Kamala is aspirating, or whatever the hell she's doing, he did those two attacks on 2 days, hitting the devices, pages, cell phones, you name it, whatever the hell they had that went directly to the Hezbollah people. Now, they did have some collateral damage. You're going to have it, but it was about as targeted a hit as you're going to get if you don't want to kill civilians. They have to have a civilian next to them for them. One of the terrorists has to have a civilian there for that to happen. And if the terrorists don't have too many civilians around, usually the civilian with them is another terrorist. So that shook the hell out of Hezbollah. And then they followed it with aerial attacks. So Hezbollah hit back. They hit back in this area of Israel, down to pretty close to Haifa. The hit back was not, I mean, you can see one, two, or three hits that did some damage. They've had some casualties, I think less than double digit, but any casualty for Israel is a big loss. On the other hand, they wiped out 15 of the top Hezbollah leaders, which is great. I mean, these organizations work very, very heavily based on this insane leadership thing. When you take out their leaders, you really set them back. Now, they did succeed, Hezbollah did, in 3 cities, 3 small cities. This is one of the attacks in which they succeeded. I don't know if you can see that. Can they see that, Ted? That's one of the cities, that would be right outside of Haifa, where they did some real damage. Don't know if they had casualties here. I think they had injuries. And you can see, I mean, you can see how young the IDF soldiers are, right? Wow. And this is the funeral of Ibrahim Agil. Take note of those faces because, like the FBI, they should be on the list of getting rid of them if they adore him, because he was a massive murderer. He was at the top of the 15 that they got. Actually, while that funeral was going on, they were getting some of the rest of them. So now, question is, do we have a full-scale war between Hezbollah and Israel? I don't think Iran wants that. I'll tell you the truth. I think Israel is ready to destroy them. And I don't think Iran is ready yet. Iran needs a couple more years. Israel has, in every way, including, their one retaliation for the sort of symbolic attack that Iran did in northern Israel. They hit a major area right next to their deep, in the ground nuclear facility. Now, they have bombs that can go deep into the ground. Harris and Biden will not let them use it. And there are some they're not even giving them, which they promised to them. And as Harris said, that shit, she's holding it as leverage. Israel's an ally. You don't have leverage with an ally. Now, do they have some of those bombs? And I don't really know if Bibi is going to care if he has them. He isn't Zelensky. He's not going to not use them because Biden says no. So Biden is telling Zelensky not to use some of the weapons that he has so he doesn't irritate Putin. And maybe, although I can't imagine he gets to this level of wisdom, so that he doesn't ignite a wider war. That is, his general. I think he is settled. I think Biden and all of his crooks, all the Harris crooks around him, and the Biden, Obama crooks, they've settled into a permanent war because there's so much money to be had with a permanent war. Nothing like the military-industrial complex, spreading billions between the U.S. and Ukraine. No better place for whacking it up than Ukraine. I mean, this was made for the Biden crime machine, which gets much bigger than just Biden. So we're going to have to see now with the troops going over there. I think the next step is in Hezbollah's court because they really got humiliated. I mean, almost to the point of being laughingstocks with the bombs that were going, like the devices that were going off, wiping out a lot of their leadership. Not just a couple of people here, but they're like this animal that they are adoring here, that the other animals are adoring. all want to wipe out the Jewish people. If it were, back in the 30s and 40s, they'd all be Nazis. Remember, because one of the biggest allies of the Nazis were the Arabs. Sorry. We tell the truth. The Grand Mufti Pufti used to spend time with Hitler. Liked him. Like that idea of the final solution. No more Jews. When are we going to be honest so that we can protect ourselves? Well, when we get rid of this son of a bitch in the White House and the one running with the communist. So we're going to take a short break and we'll be right back. And then maybe we'll listen a little Trumpy.
Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory. It's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep grain, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because they like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic, non-GMO. You should know all Arabica beans, no Robusto, all Arabica. They're going to go into the roaster and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudy's coffee.
Instead of 9 justices like we have now, Kamala wants to bring it up very substantially. Now, this is a number I heard 2 days ago, potentially to 25 justices, so she can rig the system, meaning not she, the whole party can rig the system, the party of communists. She wants to bring it up to 25. That's the first time I heard that number, but I heard it very loud and clear. She might as well have Congress. You know, Congress is supposed to be that, not the Supreme Court. No, they were very brave, the Supreme Court, very brave, and they take a lot of hits because of it. It should be illegal what happens. You know, you have these guys like playing the ref, like the great Bobby Knight. These people should be put in jail the way they talk about our judges and our justices, trying to get them to sway their vote, sway their decision. Kamala was an original creator of Defund the Police movement. Okay, so she was in Defund the Police for years. Anybody who wants to defund the police for even 1 week is not worthy of being president of the United States. Can you imagine? That's where she came from. That's where she came from. That's her theory, and that's her way, and that's her policy. You know the policies? She's changed 15 policies. You know, over the years, I've been like a student of politics for a long time, but I was in the other side. I was writing checks all the time, right? But I was on the other side. But I've never seen anyone go 15 for 15. I've seen guys change one policy, maybe 2 when they were little ones. She changed everything. She loves oil all of a sudden. She loves the police. About, when did that start? A few months ago. They immediately go back to where they came from. Kamala Harris vowed to abolish ICE. These are great, great patriots, ICE. They take such hits. They are so tough and love our country so much. They get MS-13 out of our country. Under border czar Harris, Venezuela gangs, all these Venezuelan gangs have taken over entire areas of different places in our country, and she supports free health care for illegal aliens while our hospitals and emergency rooms are being overrun by migrants who come up here because they say, come up and we'll give you. Look, I feel sorry. I have a bigger heart than anybody, but you can't tell people to come up. We're going to give you education. We're going to give you free health care, because they're going to come up. And if you stop saying that, they won't come any longer. You can't do this. And Newsom does it, and all of them do it, and you can't do it. But migrants make it virtually it's unusable. I mean, the states become unusable, the school systems, the hospital. She lost more than, this is a number that's the worst number that you'll ever hear. I mean, think of it. Think of a big stadium that holds 55,000 people. She lost more than 325,000 migrant children. They're gone. Nobody knows where they are. Many of them are dead. Many of them are in sex trade. Many of them are dead. They've been trafficked. They've been raped. 325,000 children are missing. If one child is missing, it's too many. Think of it. Under her, 325,000 children. As California Attorney, she will destroy our country. As California Attorney General, she redefined child sex trafficking, a term, deadly weapon and rape of an unconscious person, as non-violent crimes. She said they are all non-violent. She praised the idea of 70 to 80% tax. She wants a tax rate of 70 to 80%. Will you be happy paying 80%? I don't think so. She wants to ban the sale of gas-powered vehicles, which will destroy the Pennsylvania way of life. And she even endorsed free sex changes. At first they said, you got to go back and tell me this. And this was recently. She endorsed free sex changes for illegal aliens in detention centers all over our country at taxpayer expense. You don't hear this on Oprah, do you? Think of that. Sex change, you're detained. You're being held in a detention center, and you say, I want to change. I want to become a woman. And they have to give you the operation, which is an immensely expensive operation on top of everything else, $250,000 at least, and then all the drugs involved and everything else. She's sick. I'm telling you, if you put her in, I don't think you will either. Uncle Sam? Uncle Sam, will you put her in? I don't think so. Stand up, Uncle Sam. No, it's terrible. As DA and as Attorney General, she destroyed San Francisco and she destroyed all of California. It's like a different place. It's not recognizable. And now she's coming to destroy the United States of America, and we're not going to let it happen. We can't let it happen. She led the change in California law so that if you steal less than $950, you are not prosecuted. And if you steal more than $950, you're actually not prosecuted either. You wonder. But how about this? The kids are walking in with computers. They're putting stuff, they're adding it up so that if it's less than $950, they go into a judge and say, Your Honor, it's less than, oh, okay, case dismissed. How sick? Is this country sick? Less than $1,000, you don't get prosecuted. She even lied about Joe Biden's cognitive abilities. Remember, she said, oh, he's fine, he's fine. A great disservice to the American people, because he's negotiating with Russia, China, North Korea. He's negotiating with people that are probably in a state of shock. They say, can you believe this? Because they're all at the top of their game. I know all of them. They're at the top of their game. And we are at the most dangerous point in the history of our country. We could end up in World War III because of this lunatic and her. She's so much worse. She wants to take away your guns and your rifles in violation of the Second Amendment. And she's a communist, and everybody knows it, and our country is not ready for a communist president and won't be for a long, long, long time to come. That's why less than 2 months from now, we are going to tell her that we've had enough. Our country can't take it anymore. Kamala, you've been a terrible vice president. You'll be the worst president in the history of our country, superseding even crooked Joe Biden. Kamala, you are a disaster to the United States of America. Kamala, you are fired. You're fired. Get out. Get out. All right, so we have to talk business. I always thought women liked me. I never thought I had a problem. But the fake news keeps saying women don't like me. I don't believe it. I think, you know why? They like to have strong borders. They like to have safety. Nothing personal. I think they like me. But I make this statement. Thank you. I love you too. I love you too. Thank you. But I think they like me because I represent something that's very important. I make this statement to the great women of our country. Sadly, women are poorer than they were 4 years ago, much poorer, are less healthy than they were 4 years ago, are less safe on the streets than they were 4 years ago, are paying much higher prices for groceries and everything else than they were 4 years ago, are more stressed and depressed and unhappy than they were 4 years ago, and are less optimistic and confident in the future than they were 4 years ago. I believe that. I will fix all of that and fast, and at long last, this nation and national nightmare will end. It will end. We've got to end this national nightmare. Because I am your protector. I want to be your protector. As president, I have to be your protector. I hope you don't make too much of it. I hope the fake news doesn't go, oh, he wants to be their protector. Well, I am. As president, I have to be your protector. I will make you safe at the border, on the sidewalks of your now violent cities, in the suburbs where you are under migrant criminal siege, and with our military protecting you from foreign enemies, of which we have many today because of the incompetent leadership that we have. You will no longer be abandoned, lonely, or scared. You will no longer be in danger. You're not going to be in danger any longer. You will no longer have anxiety from all of the problems our country has today. You will be protected, and I will be your protector. Women will be happy, healthy, confident, and free. You will no longer be thinking about abortion. So all they talk about abortion because we've done something that nobody else could have done. It is now where it always had to be, with the states and a vote of the people. And it is and will be, with powerful exceptions like those that Ronald Reagan insisted on for rape, incest, and the life of the mother, but not allowing for Democrat-demanded late-term abortion in the 7th, 8th, or 9th month, or even execution of a baby after birth. Thank you. Thank you very much. Such an important topic. For 52 years, all legal scholars and experts wanted abortion to be with the states and to have a vote of the people. 52 years they fought for this. Republicans, Democrats, liberals, and conservatives. Everyone wanted abortion out of the federal government and into the states. 6 brilliant and very brave justices of the United States Supreme Court were able to do that for you, and they did it. It will never move back to the federal government. We'll never have the votes to do so. and nobody should want it to, because it must now have that very important vote of the people, something sought for many, many years. I have always defended and supported IVF fertility, and so has the Republican Party, and we gave you and give you total support on IVF. Don't let anyone tell you different. We are much stronger than the Democrats. We want beautiful babies in our country. We want you to have your beautiful, beautiful, perfect baby. We want those babies, and we need them.
Yep. Can you show this?
And I will protect women at a level never seen before. They will finally be healthy, hopeful, safe, and secure. Their lives will be happy, beautiful, and great again. And it's my honor to do so. It's my honor to do so. Because that's all they talk about. Our country's a mess. It's a mess. The borders are bad. The trade is bad. The inflation is bad. It's the worst time in your lives in our country. We're being laughed at by everybody in the world. Everything is wrong with our country. Nothing's right. And all they talk about is abortion. The fact is, for 52 years, they've been trying to do what we did. And the votes are all taking place in Ohio. It took place in Kansas. And it was more liberal than people would have thought. But it's taking place all over the land, and the vote's going to change, and it's being negotiated. But it's the vote of the people, and it's with the exceptions. We want to have the exceptions. Some people have to follow their heart, but it's hard not to have the exceptions. It really is. But that's all they talk about. The country's falling apart. We're going to end up in World War III, and all they can talk about is abortion. That's all they talk about. And it really no longer pertains, because we've done something on abortion that nobody thought was possible. And I give those three brilliant, if you think about it,
We can get rid of
six, but the three that we put in, but
the
six brilliant justices of the United States Supreme Court, a tremendous hand for their intelligence, but also for their courage. It took a lot of courage to do so. It's where everybody wanted it, every legal scholar, every legal expert. From the moment we take back the White House from Kamala Harris, I believe we are going to have the 4 greatest years in the history of our country. Starting on day 1, I will seal the border and stop the migrant. We're going to stop the migrant invasion. We will stop the migrant invasion into our country. Not sustainable by any country. We will carry out the largest deportation operation of criminals.
Well, you just heard what he would do on day 1, right? I would fix that camera just a little, Ted. So that's what he would do on day 1. One of the things he would do, she would, I think we played it before, she would seek aspirations for the middle class. She's going to aspirate on day 1, and I will endeavor over the course of the next 24 hours to figure out exactly how you aspirate, because I want to know what kind of strange thing she's going to be doing in the Oval Office if she ever becomes president. But in any event, there are a couple of things we should bring you up to date on. The gang known as Tren de Aragua, or now just being described as TDA, and they do the T small d-a. That's the way they describe it, although the Post does it just TDA. TDA, there's a lot of versions of not where they came from. I mean, they came out of a Venezuelan prison gang. So let's be clear about that. They're a Venezuelan prison gang, and their leader, I think, is now in jail in Colombia, because the first place they spread was to Colombia, where they gained a lot of their expertise in copying the enormously long-term effective Colombian cartels. But their big break was, I mean, they're one of the great beneficiaries of the Biden-Harris administration. Biden encouraged them to come in, let them all in. The border czar, of course, was Harris. She was more than happy to let the Venezuelans in. When Trump says that Maduro emptied out his prisons and his jails, that's true. He just copied Castro, who did that during the Mariel boat lift. And he did essentially a very similar thing, Maduro. Maduro sent a lot of legitimate Venezuelans here, meaning legitimate asylum seekers, people who were fleeing persecution from a communist dictator who Biden has given a lot of money to, as he has to other communists. I imagine that would make Tim Walz extremely happy, being so close to Red China as he is. But Tren de Aragua was sent here along with whatever number of Venezuelans were actually fleeing Maduro's dictatorship. They weren't fleeing his dictatorship. They were looking for better places to make more money than crime, which was not doing too well in Venezuela until we revived them by buying their oil. Another strange one, because we, cut down the pipe, and because the jackass here cut off our being energy independent. He's not a jackass. He's actually a traitor, isn't he? And so is she. So Tren de Aragua then ends up in New York. And they're, according to the New York Police Department, which I don't know how they have time to do anything, they're getting raided by the FBI constantly. Their hub is this place here. Now, I'll try to get a picture of it tomorrow night of what this used to look like when I was the mayor. It's Randall's Island. Not to be confused with Rikers Island. Rikers Island is a prison. This was a this was a Irish football field, a soccer field, a track and field. It contains a stadium, a driving range, and any number of little league fields for children on which my son played, and my daughter played soccer on this island. Now, you see that? That's what it looks like. That's thanks to Biden, Harris, and Adams. Biden, Adams, and Harris have done that to New York City. That's right in the middle. As you come in the New York City over what used to be the Triborough Bridge, it is now the Robert F. Kennedy Bridge. You see that as you're coming in to your left, as you're going out to your right. You used to see a stadium, and you used to see, as I said, soccer fields, football, beautiful place. Children in New York from the different schools, would use it because there isn't all that many places to play outdoor sports. But now it's filled with illegal aliens, and a large number of them are from Venezuela, and that place is now the hub, according to a high-ranking New York City police officer, of Tren de Aragua, which is all around the country. Tren de Aragua controls Aurora, California, Aurora, Colorado, where Governor Feliz Navidad reigns. You remember him, right? He is the major jackass that runs Colorado and has made Denver, Colorado, the biggest, even more than New York City, per capita home for illegal aliens, a large number of them being criminals from Tren de Aragua, which uses Aurora as a transit point. They've taken over apartment buildings there, so they have an operation in between New York, Chicago, Denver, Aurora, and Los Angeles. Those are their big places, and they're growing. They'll be next to you pretty soon, because they're still coming in huge numbers. And all you have to do is watch the declining crime numbers in Venezuela to see what these bastards in the White House have done to you. This is a horrible thing that Harris and Biden have done. And they have to know they have done this. This is on the FBI's. They don't talk about it, but this didn't exist in the U.S. when they came in. This is their gang. They brought them in. Big Apple is a trend wreck. I love headlines. Big Apple is a trend wreck. That's for Tren d'Aragua. Train of Aragua. That's what they're named for. They're all over the country, and their hub is Randall's Island in New York City. That looks like crap, like that. That's my city, my old city. That's my old city. This is the city I spent my life fixing. Think I'm mad? You're damn right I'm mad. They get my people killed. And 40%, 45% want to vote for them. What are you, crazy? You want to get us all killed? These are, I don't know what you want to call them. I don't know. Call them Democrats, like the party of slavery. Call them socialists, which they are. I mean, according to Tampon Tim, that's just neighborliness. Call them communists. I mean, they all go to their honeymoons there, right? Bernie Sanders, crazy Mayor de Blasio, and Tampon Tim all go to communist countries for their honeymoon. The other guy, Tampon Tim, teaches in communist country for 30 years, and nobody will ask him, are you a communist? Then how are you alive? What did you teach? Catechism? In China? They blow your brains out. They only killed 100 million people. They'll kill you in 2 seconds. You're not a groomer for them? You didn't bring those kids over there so you could teach them that socialism is like neighborliness? And there's some of those stupid, idiotic, moronic Marxists that run around supporting a terrorist group that kills men, women, and children and wants to kill America. We're Americans. We are Americans. That's what they want to kill. That's who Hamas wants to kill. Got it? Palestinians are taught at 2 years old to kill you. And those idiots want to make it a state. They have no regard for your life. All they care about is money and power and dictatorial power, like they all got after the pandemic, like Whitlis did, like Newsom did, like Cuomo did, like Murphy, the biggest jackass in the world. Or how about the Golden Boy in Pennsylvania? Huh? He wasn't involved in pandemic crap, but also wasn't involved in messing around with all the election laws so they could fix 2020. Shapiro? Ah, he's the next candidate. Well, Kamala's got to lose. Well, you got to wait a long time. Of course, Kamala gets it. You think she's going in 4 years? And then we got Tampon Tim, Mr. Shapiro. Oh, also, hey, Whitlis, you're going to start looking old in about 8 years. Huh? Not going to be so pretty. If you're all that pretty now, I don't know what they do to you. I mean, you got very well taken care of during the pandemic. You only want to go to the beauty shop. And your husband the only guy in all of Michigan that could go on vacation. Did you ever figure out what big dictators they began to get an indication of their communist instincts, their Marxist instincts? Not to mention all the old people they kill. Right. Oh, that would made them very popular with Klaus Schwab and Gates, who think we have too many people, except for them, of course. So Tren d'Aragua now controls major parts of New York City. They've turned Roosevelt Avenue into the market of sweethearts. What that means is it's filled with peddlers who sell stolen items, and it's an open red light district where just a couple of days ago, they raided a 24-hour brothel. And then also, over the last week or two, they've done 24, they were doing 24 heists, and the crooks, the trendy Aragua operatives, range in age from 15 to 19 years old. They got a long time ago. In July in Central Park, for $80, they beat the living daylights out of a woman. And then another woman who was walking near Rockefeller Center got banged around in order to get her jewelry. They started and punched me in the face. I was trying to fight back, but I couldn't do anything. And then 5 more guys in total jumped on me. This is what United States citizens have to put up with, because a dodo bird in the White House announced at the Democratic convention in 2020 that these guys should surge to the border. And then he let them all in without any regard to the fact that they were major criminals. And then the New York Times and others deny that there's a fairly large number of criminals among these migrants. Look, a lot of the migrants, illegal, but not criminals necessarily. A lot of them are criminals. Here's the problem. We don't know how many. We don't know which are which, because we don't know anything about them. Even the ones that we so-called vetted, we didn't vet. Really. Some we asked cursory questions, 4 questions to the Chinese. Some they were coming in so fast we didn't ask them any questions. We just let them in. And then there's a very large number who were gotaways, who we never got a chance to ask any questions. We just wrote them down. And then there's the ones we never even saw, that might amount to 50 to 200% of the ones that we did see. So 50% is another 5 million people. No idea who they are. Never saw them. Were brought in on purpose that way, which has to say to you, it was some high value to them because they paid the cartels to bring them in. Around the country, and who knows what the hell they're doing. They're sure selling fentanyl big time because people are dying big time of fentanyl. The sleazy Queens brothel on the market of sweethearts with a 24-hour prostitution operation. And you got to believe they were using underage girls. Got to believe. Because United States now has the distinction, which will be in the record book when we put it together, of being the biggest child trafficking organizational place in the world, the biggest human trafficking organization in the world, and probably the country where the most horrendous things happen to innocent women. And women want to vote for the border czar who'll let this happen. Why? Because she lets you kill babies? Why don't you get off this kill baby thing, huh? Why don't you just learn how to do adoption, huh? Or birth control? Why don't you take responsibility and don't kill? Well, I know that's terrible. What am I saying that? I know a lot of you can't do it, and I know a lot of you, you have your freedoms, and I'm not fighting the freedoms. I'm just talking about what's the better good here? Is the better good being a society in which more Black children are aborted than born? Is that a good society? Is that what you regard as we're going in the right direction? If it is, I can't help you. If you don't, work with me, huh? Let's see if we can let's at least cut down on the number of abortions instead of acting like it's a good thing or cheering for 7th, 8th, and 9th month abortions when it's passed in New York like the maniacs did. And by the way, they do allow execution after birth, at least 5 or 6 in Minnesota. They don't do anything to help them. What if you just leave a little baby just coming out of the womb on a table and you don't do anything for it? You're executing it, aren't you? I mean, okay, when they're in the womb, you suck them out with a vacuum or crush their skull. But when they're out, so far, what we can prove is that in Minnesota, in Comrade Walz' estate, he's had 5 before he stopped keeping records of it that were just left to die. We know there are a lot more than that. That's not execution. And they say, one place actually said Trump falsely stated that the Democrats allow execution. No, they don't. They do allow it. The number 2 on the ticket allows it. That's letting them lay on the table and die. And that's their big policy proposal. They're running on allowing criminals to come in from Venezuela without stopping them, allowing criminals to come in all over the world without stopping them, killing babies, and continuing wars without any answer in Ukraine, because a lot of money can be passed around on that one, and seeing what you can do to have Hamas survive. This is what you want for your children? I feel very, very sorry. And I have no idea what the truth or falsity is with these allegations involving Robert F. Kennedy Jr. But I just have a feeling that they're happening because he supported Trump. Sorry. And I have the same feeling about the guy who's running for governor of North Carolina, Mark Robinson. I just have a feeling, whether they are true or false. And I have no idea that whether they are or they aren't. I mean, I don't know. I've never investigated any of this. I can tell you about the Kennedy ones. I know for a fact that Olivia Nuzzi is a damn liar, a professional liar, because she lied about me completely. I mean, a story in which half in it is, well, about a third of it is totally untrue. Another half is, my name is correct. And she is a disreputable reporter because she lies. So I don't know how you can base anything on her. And it sounds like she had a thing for Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Like knowing a bit about her, I would say, well, I know she's a liar. Let's put it that way. And I know that this probably never would have come out if he didn't support Trump. Or it might have, in order to separate votes, in order to help the communists get into the White House. But man, to base a story on that creep is really, real. And they had to get rid of her from what does she write for?
Your magazine?
Gosh. But I have no idea why they got rid of her. The rest of them, I mean, all they do is, I mean, it's a complete, it's just fake news, fake information, pack of lies, but entertaining. It's not entertaining, actually. I haven't even looked at that magazine in years. I wouldn't even use it for, you know what? The Times, you could use it at least for that in case there's another pandemic or something. She was bounced from the Trump trial for lying about, what was she doing, taking pictures or something? She was taking photos against the rules of the court. They told her not to do it, and she said she was, and then she did it, and they caught her. First they got rid of her, and they threw her out. I mean, she was like a perennial violator because she's an arrogant, lying person. He was engaged up until then to Ryan Lizzer, also a political reporter. I have no idea who Ryan Lizza is, but he took off once he heard about this. The guy escaped a bad one. Maron. I don't know. This is what she looks like. This is what the big fuss is about. I don't know what the fuss is about. A hell of a nose. Bottle. Got to be happening to these two guys, Mark and Robert F. Kennedy Jr., because they supported Trump. Crap, you can true, false, not so true, very false, scandalous, crazy. Just go get them, destroy them, see what you can turn them, and let's see if we can put them in prison, like we did with Bannon, like we did Navarro, like we did with Giuliani. Just get them, like we're trying to do to Professor Eastman. Let's take away their right to make a living. Let's make away their right to do anything. Let's take away their right to breathe. What the hell is going on in New York City? So, do I still call him mayor? Is he still mayor? Adams, or have they removed?
Well, that's you got to check every hour, right? But as of now, he's still.
So, for now, Mayor Adams loses his police commissioner because his police commissioner gets raided by the FBI, and the commissioner's brother was raided by the FBI, and everybody close to him was raided by the FBI, which, by the way, I'm the first to say may mean nothing. This could just be to try to shut him up until the election's over. And they've done a pretty good job. He doesn't criticize Biden anymore since he was headed to the White House, and on the day that he was going to show up there with a bunch of mayors to complain about Biden getting us all murdered by the illegal migrants, they raided his top aide's apartment, leaked it to the press, and made it pretty clear that it was some kind of an illegal fundraising operation. Now they're making it damn clear that it looks like a lot of money was floating around, bribe money, influence money, whatever they want, kickback money for all these unbelievably lucrative migrant contracts, which are awarded without bid because they are considered it's like the same scam that pandemic. One of these days, somebody will write the book about all the money the crooked governors kicked around over PPP and the pandemic, and because it allowed, and that's why they stretched it out for a year. They didn't give a damn that it ruined the kids and set them back in a way that almost seems to be irreparable for that group of children. Way back in terms of reading and math compared to other countries. But in any event, they just you wondered, why did they keep it going so long? They kept it going so long because all these tyrants had emergency power, whether it was Cuomo or Hochul or Murphy or Whitlis or Pompadour face, head, the West Coast idiot, the son of Z. He goes to Z and bows and then has a big parade for him. They all had unbelievable emergency power to do these contracts that always seem to be like twice as expensive as they should be. Could it be that there were kickbacks involved? No. Not the party with the biggest history of corruption of any American political party, called the Democrat Party, the party of slavery and of Tammany Hall and of Boss Tweed. I wonder. The party in which at one point almost every Democratic mayor in New Jersey was in jail. The party that I became famous putting crooked New York politicians in jail, from congressmen to the people around Koch. It was like shooting fish in a barrel. I once said, if you made me U.S. attorney in Albany, I don't know how much of the legislature I could wipe out. On really solid cases, taking bribes from lobbyists. I'm not even going to give you a percentage I gave back then. I was kind of a kid fooling around when I was coming out of the Justice Department. But it was based on a certain amount of intelligence. So Thomas Donilon was appointed as the interim police commissioner with some degree of controversy. You might remember Bernie Kerik was quite annoyed that they picked a Fed to come in because Feds know so little about the PD. But that notwithstanding, here's the amazing thing. He got raided by the FBI yesterday. He was with the FBI. You raid everybody that Adams hires? I tell you, don't get hired by Adams. If he offers you, I mean, my friend Randy Mastro was trying to be a corporation counsel, way overqualified, by the way. I mean, not overqualified. That's a great job. And he's a great lawyer. And they wouldn't take him. And I thought they wouldn't take him mainly because of me, because he was my deputy mayor. Well, that didn't help. But the real reason is the city council hates Adams and Adams hates the city council. I mean, I can't believe it. This is like the blind leading the blind. Well, Thomas Donilon has now been raided, and he says this is not a department matter.
What? That just raises more questions.
Well, I don't get it. I mean, they raid the new police commissioner, and it's not a department matter. The FBI just kind of breaks in.
So he's got enough, but that might have another issue, a whole nother issue.
What's he bringing to the table?
He's bringing something all new to the table.
Edward Caban was the prior one. He's out, and his brother was a sleazy New York City cop who was thrown out for all kinds of. Well, this guy's like a Biden, Caban's brother. You know, one of Biden's brothers, one of those trailer trash type guys. That's the way they started. You know, they started with little bribes to Biden, and then it turned into the Biden crime family. Miranda Devine, who I have to apologize to, because I was gonna do a video for her book signing tonight, and I apologize for not.
We do it tomorrow morning,
but it's tonight.
No, it's not.
Oh,
it's tomorrow night.
Oh, we'll do it tomorrow. We'll do it tonight before I go to bed. Right here. So Miranda has a new book. It's coming out. We're gonna have her on, but I couldn't go to the book signing because I'm in Florida, and we have a bunch of things to do. And so I promised her today when I talked to her that I would do a video for her for the book signing because she's the best. She was the one who had the guts to push. The Post like to say, we put it out. It wasn't for her and Levine and a couple of other people. We got to get all their names. I'm going to mention all their names one day. And of course, Bob Costello and Steve Bannon. And you would never have known about it. Oh, nobody else would have told you. They almost ruined the Post for doing it. I mean, I want to read something. This is from Kamala Word Salad Yo-Yo. Our fundamental freedoms are on the ballot, and so is our democracy. Now, this comes from the guy who wanted to kill Trump, Mr. Ryan Ruth. Democracy is on the ballot, and we cannot lose. You think that was a dog whistle? What do you think? I mean, they're trying to say, and they've been doing it for a couple of years now, that Trump caused January 6th by his language. Now, there's no connection, including he said something fundamentally opposite, which was go to the Capitol peacefully, which of course they leave out all the time, including during the debate when David, the liar David Muir left it out. This guy repeated exactly what she said in an X post. Our fundamental freedoms are on the ballot, and so is our democracy. She says in August. He quickly puts out, democracy is on the ballot, and we cannot lose. I don't know if somebody's going to take away democracy from you, which makes you into a dictatorship. Would you be inclined to kill him? Maybe if you're a little unhinged, and if this guy's just take a look at the guy. If this guy's not unhinged, nobody's unhinged. What do you think? You think their words caused these two attempts to kill him? If they didn't, they could have. He's Hitler. Virginia is now in a deadlock. Well, actually, it's 47-46, within the margin of error. That's from the University of Mary Washington. Didn't know that was a University of Mary Washington. If you put in the third parties, she leads by 4. But if you keep it at the head-to-head, it's 1 point. And one of the professors at the University of Mary Washington, Stephen Farnsworth, says Virginia may deserve to be treated as a swing state. So we're going to keep this in mind for our Thursday, Friday analysis. Okay, Ted? I mean, we've always had a funny feeling about Virginia, that it might. I mean, you got to worry about that northern part. But I don't know. Also, in New Jersey, the Senate race is a real possibility. The candidate for the Senate is a very, very much like Harris and Comrade Tampon Tim, very, very pro-Hamas and very anti-Israel. Except she tries to hide it by saying, I will always support Israel. And then she says everything that would destroy the state of Israel. Tampon Tim doesn't hide it as much. He pretty much clearly says, screw Israel. I'm with the Hamas people. And they are all kissing ass to try to get the vote in Michigan, which looks like it. They don't like them. The Arabs don't like them. I don't think they trust them. I wouldn't trust them. Just because they say they're on my side, she changed, 15 to 20 positions. Why wouldn't you change again? Of course you will. So the candidates in New Jersey to replace the guy that went to prison, who either committed a crime or Biden framed him, or Biden prosecuted him when he wouldn't have, even though he committed a crime, like a lot of the Democrats commit crimes and he overlooks. But in case of Adams and Menendez, who criticized him, screw him, stick him in jail, stick him there with Trump and Giuliani and all those people. So the Republican candidate is Curtis Bashaw. And the Democratic candidate is Andy Kim, who has a history of anti-Israeli positions and votes. In April, Kim called, this is from my friend John Levine in the Post. In April, Kim, 42, called for an immediate ceasefire that would allow Hamas to remain in power. A month later, Kim voted against the Anti-Semitism Awareness Act. He was in Congress at the time. How can you vote against the Anti-Semitism Awareness Act and not be a Jew hater? And who the hell is going to vote for this Kim guy if he's an anti-Semite? What, are we going to go back to the 1930s or something? He voted against the Anti-Semitism Awareness Act. Do you know that Schumer will not bring that to a vote in the Senate? The Anti-Semitism Awareness Act? Now, what kind of shit is that? Curtis Bashaw is a hotel developer whose company restored and owns the historic Congress Hall in Cape May. He says Israel is the front line of war on terror right now, and we need to make sure we stand with our ally and don't negotiate with the terrorists. I actually think there's a real path to victory. New Jerseyans are craving for change. Well, they sure as hell don't want a guy who hates Jewish people. Shaw says he's a bureaucrat, meaning Kim, and an academic liberal that wants to tell us what to do, but he has no experience making an economy grow. I think he's being very kind, calling him an academic liberal. You know what he sounds like to me. And he supports terrorists, and he hates Jews. So let's see if we can have Curtis Bashar on our show. He's the Republican candidate for the Senate against a person who hates the Jewish people in New Jersey, which is a state I still don't think we can win because we don't. And we did, that used to be true of Pennsylvania. And I think you're going to be surprised this year. I think that 800,000 on election day that Trump was ahead by, that may be more of a reflection of what may go on there than when they got a chance to stop the vote, not let Republicans observe over 700,000 ballots and somehow do what mathematicians say was impossible, which has changed the result. You know, they did that in every state that stopped counting. Somehow Trump lost all of them, even though he was leading in all of them. And I was told by a very wise man that I said, when are they going to stop counting? And they said, well, you know, they're going to stop counting when Biden wins. You get my meaning, right? Don't you? So I want to tell you about crime rates. You know, there's a big debate with Muir, and when Muir decided to be the font of truth, like the commissar of truth that they used to have in the Soviet Union, or the director of truth that they have in 1984, and decided that crime is going, according to the National Crime Victimization Survey, which is run by the Bureau of Justice Statistics and administered by the Census Bureau, all of which are in the Biden administration, and it dates back to the Nixon administration, and is not run by the Biden Crime Bureau, the Federal Bureau of Investigation. The Biden Crime Bureau has crime going down like about 3% from year to year. According to the National Crime Victimization Survey, crime is going all the way up, 19%. And that's violent crime. Now, they drill down. You know where crime in the rural areas of America and in the suburbs has gone up just a little, to gone down somewhat in some places. You know where the crime has gone up and it drives all that? Democrat urban America, where urban violent crime has gone up 40% from 2019 to 2023. Now, if you take out simple assault, it's gone up 54%, which means the more serious it is, the further up it's gone in Democrat urban America. You know that. It's all the places that they have the Soros 50 or so DAs that he spent $60, $70 million on to force them on you, who aren't DAs at all, who are people who deliver people from prison to come out and kill you and rape you and beat you and rob you. That's right there. And then they have Walz type, Harris type mayors, silly at best, communists at worst, but not there to protect you. So you end up with records under the Biden-Harris regime. Philadelphia, more murders than ever before in its history under these communists. Rochester, New York, more murders than ever before in its history. St. Louis, Missouri, more murders than ever before in its history. And crime has gone down? No. The victimization survey, which is done by actually surveying people, and has been in existence longer than the FBI survey, shows a 54% increase in violent crime, excluding simple assault. and a 40% increase if you put in simple assault. The property crime rate has also gone up, but that was 26% in urban America. And they don't count shoplifting. You put shoplifting in, it probably went up 100%. The other thing you should know about it is that the FBI, under the Biden regime, which now runs it as a part of the Democratic Party, has changed the way it records crime from the time that I was mayor, and set a record for the reduction of crime unmatched by any mayor in American history. So now they don't report every city. They report whoever wants to report. So even though they say crime went down, they've left out, for example, Chicago. Well, I think that might have an impact. What do you think? About 20 to 25. The FBI lacks data from the Los Angeles Police Department. So they're saying crime went down, but they left out Los Angeles and Chicago. I don't know how many, about 20, 25%. I mean, it's a complete lie. It used to be so. I used to be in charge of the FBI statistics. I didn't touch them, except review them and make sure they were understandable. No Republican during the Reagan would change the crime stats. Wouldn't even know how to. They mess around with the crime stats, these crooks. But you know crime's going up. You just got to walk the streets of New York or Chicago. I mean, 4th of July, 100 people wounded, and crime's not going up. We got somewhere between 15 and 20 million people who have come in here without being vetted. Okay, let's say a lot of them are nice people. Let's say a lot of them aren't. But that's a lot of a lot. What liars. What else Israel has in mind after the exploding pagers? What do you think, Ted? To befuddle Iran, because that's what they're fighting. They're fighting Iran. Must have shocked the hell out of the Ayatollah and his crooked mullahs when
the pagers.
Yeah, because they could do it in Iran too.
Yeah.
You remember when they wiped out all the atomic scientists in Iran?
Yeah, it's psychological.
Of course, Israel had nothing to do with that, nor did the MEK. Nothing to do with it. Not involved. Just like Israel is not nuclear.
And just like Iran's not involved with October 7th.
It just happened.
Yeah.
That happened.
And then the radio's the next day.
Spontaneous combustion.
It happens.
It's kind of like the atheists believe the world began.
Well, that happens time to time to pagers, right?
The Big Bang?
Spontaneously combust.
The Big Bang? Well, somebody had to do the Big Bang.
Yeah.
Who did the Big Bang? It just banged? I mean, what banged?
In science, we trust.
Bang there. Who put the things there that were bang? Bang.
You
Big
can't.
Bang did it. And they think that answers it because they think you're stupid. Because you believe in God, you're stupid. Because they don't, they are. Or because they're atheists. Yeah. I'll give you, if you don't have faith, you can be an agnostic. Logic will say to you at least the following: you don't know. You don't know how it all began. You don't. No scientist knows how it all began, except a lying scientist who was playing a word game saying the Big Bang. But the Big Bang had to bang something to bang. Right? So who put the stuff there that banged? It's always been there. So you have to admit that you can't prove that God doesn't exist. I don't know that you can prove that he does exist. I don't say that you can prove it. I buy the old French philosophical notion of the leap of faith. Logic can take you right to the, you have to jump from one mountain to another and they're this far apart. Logic can take you right there. Right there. And the rest, that's what faith is. And you either have it or you don't, or maybe you get it at certain times in your life. Certainly when things get desperate. Or you can do Pascal's bet. We always have to talk a little theology. Or philosophy. What's Pascal's bet? I'll tell you what it is. Pascal says the following. If God exists, and you decide to be an atheist, you're in a lot of trouble. But if you believe in God, and God doesn't exist, so what? It can be over, it'd be over. But if he does exist, and you've been fighting him all your life, I don't know, I'm not sure I'd want to face him or St. Peter or whoever you think is going to be conducted in the trial. So I think it's a good bet. That's called Pascal's bet, to bet on God. And at the time of death, almost everybody does. Just in case, huh? You don't want to go up there being some kind of miserable enemy of God like Karl Marx. Karl Marx thought God was an insult to his intelligence. That's what happened to Adam and Eve, too. It all comes back. So, let's see. Have we got him into big soccer time, huh?
We're now entering hour 3.
Well, we don't want to do that. We are going to tell everyone to come back tomorrow. And tomorrow we're going to try to give you a couple of the videos that we took, which we didn't have time to download and fix up and put together on what it looks like on Summit Boulevard in front of the Trump golf course. So you'll get a sense of some of the questions that remain that are very, very suspicious, but, I don't have the answer. I have the questions. And the questions demand answers. Otherwise, you're going to come to the worst conclusions. It's like Walz. You don't answer the questions about 30 years in China, teaching there. How can you teach there without being a communist? So you got to, for the good of the country, you got to come to the worst conclusion, which I've come to completely now because he just keeps his mouth shut and the crooked press doesn't even ask him. So I would say special prayer tonight for the people of Israel, because I don't know what they're going to be facing. There could be a war with Hezbollah, which really means a war with Iran. And I have a feeling that Bibi is not gonna fall for the middleman, like our jackasses would, unless we get Trump there. And then I want us to pray, of course, for the people of Ukraine who are being used so badly. Pray for us, too. We got the wisdom to exercise correctly. You got it. I'll see you tomorrow. First on Frank Speech on the Rudy Giuliani Show, which you can also get on X. Then you can just stay right on X for our 502nd broadcast of America's Mayor Live. God bless America.
About policies from both Trump.
Bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. It was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers. in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason, we're able to talk, we're able to analyze. We are able to apply our God-given common sense.